What is going down, you awesome, audacious, voracious, and salacious camera geeks? Sam from CameraLegend.com, and I am back with you today. And I'm really excited today, guys, because today we're going to be talking about Olympus. All right, and some of you guys may have seen in my shorts, I was planning to do an Olympus episode, but not this one. This is impromptu. In response, in tribute to the new OM Digital Solutions OM-1. All right, have you guys heard about this? All right, so the backstory to this, for those of you guys who don't know it, is that Olympus sold their camera division to a company calling themselves OM Digital Solutions. All right, they sold this probably a year or a year and a half ago. I don't quite remember, but anyway, Olympus, the original Olympus, are no longer actually making cameras. It's going to be this company using the Olympus name. Okay, now this particular camera, the Olympus OM-1 from OM Digital Solutions, I would probably bet is probably the last camera with some real Olympus in it, because I can't imagine that this company would be able to make this camera from scratch. But going forward, they're probably going to be making their own cameras. It's called the Olympus OM-1. It is a 20 megapixel micro four thirds sensor camera. Okay, just so you guys know what this is, just the basics. All right, so I know everybody's attention span is kind of short these days, so right now I'm going to hit you guys up with the 5 of the coolest, most awesome Olympus camera gear in my collection. And after that, we are going to come back and talk a little bit more about this new Olympus OM-1. But first, let's take a look at those 5 cool Olympus cameras in tribute to the Olympus OM-1 from OM Digital Solutions. All right, you awesome camera geeks. Well, let's start it off with a bang. And right here we got the progenitor of all the Olympus OM cameras. All right, this is the rare Olympus M-1. All right, and let me tell you a little bit about it, unless you've already come across the Camera Legend article from like 5 years ago. Anyway, okay, so when Olympus came out with this system, they called it the M-1. I'm assuming the M stands for my Tani-san, the brilliant designer of the Olympus OM and other systems. Anyway, I think they had a bunch of lenses out for it, and they didn't know it, but Leica already had an M system out. So in order to avoid those legal problems, they changed the name to OM. All right, so this is the rare M1, which, as I said, is the progenitor of all the Olympus OM cameras, the grandfather of all the Olympus OM cameras. It is rare on the market, but usually when they show up for around $250, $300. But for all intents and purposes, you're better off with an Olympus OM-1, which you can get from $30 to $100, all right? But pretty much the same cameras. Now, the brilliant design of the M1 or the OM-1 is simply the compactness of the camera, right? If you notice, Olympus throughout the years, almost everything is based off this camera. The compact design, the elegant design, the tough feeling, basically like a pro caliber camera in a compact form. All right, so this is a fantastic camera, the Olympus OM-1 or M1 or OM-1. They are mechanical masterpieces, and we'll go over these cameras more on future reviews. All right, let's move on to our next cool camera in tribute to the new OM Digital Systems OM-1. All right, so the next camera on my list of awesome cool Olympus cameras is probably the most uncool camera on this list. This is my very first digital camera. It is the Olympus C-3000. Now, this is a 3 megapixel camera. It was released in the year 2000, I believe, and at that time I bought it brand new, man. I believe from KEH. And they sell new stuff too, you know, not everything in stock, but even to this day, they still sell new stuff for certain cameras. All right, so I got it, and I was really excited to use this. This was a new thing back then, man. I mean, Like, I mean, digital had been out for a few years, but I just didn't pick up any of them until the year 2000. And you know, the images from this camera are okay, you know. I mean, what was that word that I've been using? The eye. Then, you know, when I look at them, there's a certain look to them. Now, I'm not gonna exactly say it's film-like, you know. I mean, I know a lot of people when they use these kind of cameras, they call it film-like, but actually, what they're seeing is I would call a low-tech look, which to some folks may transfer as film-like. But you know, being a film shooter for many years, I wouldn't necessarily call this particular one film-like, but it definitely has a vintage digital look. That's the way I would say it, which is not a bad thing. It's actually quite a cool thing, actually. All right, so this camera, I love it for sentimental reasons. And when you go on the market, you'll see like a C-3000 or a C-3030 or anything like that. I mean, they're all pretty similar. And sometimes you can find these cameras for free, or otherwise they'd probably cost you like up to $10 or something like that. So not expensive, but definitely a great sentimental camera in my collection. All right, so up next we got what I would consider my tiny masterpiece. This is the Olympus Pen F, and these cameras are half-frame cameras. Now there are a lot of half-frame cameras on the used market, but for me, the quintessential half-frame camera would have to be the Olympus Pen F, okay? And you'll also find them in the Pen FT, which is pretty much the same camera, but I just love the original Pen F with the Gothic F. Gives it a lot of flavor, a lot of character, a lot of Olympus character. All right, so this again is a half-frame camera, so you get double the exposure. Let's say a 24 exposure roll, you get 48 exposures, okay? The lens I got on it is the 42 f1.2 Zuiko lens, and as I told you guys before, I was once a bokeh whore, and I could still be a bokeh whore at a drop of a dime, man. Once an addict, always an addict. All right, so I've had this camera since around 2007, 2008. So as I said, you know, I've been a bokeh whore for a long time. All right, and this is a great fast lens for this particular system. All right, now the great thing about this camera is even though it has the vertical framing like the Bronica RF 645 that we talked about, it also has a real through the lens focusing system. Okay, so there's actually a mirror in there, although it's placed a little differently than your usual SLR, but it's pretty much a reflex system. And I just love this system. This is one of my favorites of all time from any manufacturer, and we'll talk about this more in depth. Actually, any of the cameras that you guys see today, any of them that you want me to do a full review, leave them in the comment, and I will definitely take that into consideration. The ones with the most comments on are the ones that I'm going to do first. All right, so thank you guys so much. Let's move on. We got a couple more for you guys. All right, well, next up is one of my favorite digital SLRs of all time. This is the Olympus E1, all right, from the year 2003. I got my first copy around 2004, and at that time I was in love with this camera, and I still am in love with this camera, but for different reasons. I don't use it all that much these days, but I still use them every now and then. This is a 5 megapixel DSLR on a 4/3 sensor, an original 4/3 sensor. So keep that in mind, guys. This is not a micro 4/3, okay? Basically, same sensor size, that you cannot use the micro 4/3 lenses on these cameras. All right, so these cameras also have that 2x crop factor, and I'll go over this one more. This was actually the camera I was planning to profile for you guys very soon, because it's definitely one of my favorites. Best thing about this camera is it has this beautiful 5 megapixel Kodak sensor in it. This one definitely produces some of those wonderful film-like files. And anyway, I'm dragging this out too much. I will definitely talk to you guys about my experiences with the Olympus E1 in upcoming episodes, so you don't want to miss that. All right, so let's get on to our last cool Olympus camera in tribute to the Olympus OM Digital Systems OM-1. All right, so this last camera, I wasn't even gonna put it on this list because I'm still a little miffed about it, but as you guys might have seen in one of my episodes, if you watch Camera Legend religiously, then you wouldn't have missed that episode. But anyway, there was an episode where I told you guys that I love this camera. This is the Olympus EM5 original, which I got around 2012, so almost 10 years ago. But I was very upset because the sensor had a problem where it kind of gave up on me at around less than 5,000 shots, and I was pretty upset about it. And I didn't, I didn't want to get it repaired because I thought that. And anyway, listen, I'm drifting off topic. But anyway, the only reason I'm including it is because it is such a beautiful image maker that if you have a properly working one, it takes superb images, in my opinion. It takes images that, with the right lenses, that to me are almost indistinguishable from a larger sensor DSLR. All right. Now, I love this camera so much that I finally gave in after a couple of years of complaining about it. I finally gave in and bought another one because they were so cheap. I got my last one, I think about 110 bucks. So anyway, these are really cheap on the market these days. And if you get one that doesn't have that shutter problem, they are superb image makers. I'd love to make a video on this one too. But anyway, this is not that video. This is a tribute video. This is a tribute video to the Olympus OM Digital Systems OM-1. So guys, Olympus gang, let's get in there together. E1, get in there. C-3000, get in there. And of course, we got to make room for the legend, the Olympus M1, the progenitor of the Olympus OM-1, a true camera legend. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that little ride through the Olympus time machine. Which ones did you guys like the best? Leave a comment. As I said, the ones that you guys want me to do a full review on, leave a comment, and the one with the most comments is the one that I'm going to do first. All right, so now let's get back just a little bit to the camera that we're tributing, which is the new Olympus OM-1 from the OM Digital Solutions company. I just want to say that this is actually a very critical camera for them. It is actually the success or failure of this camera would probably likely determine whether or not this camera will or will not be the last Olympus camera, because if it succeeds, you're going to see more cameras probably with the Olympus name on them. But if it does not succeed, I could totally see this company just chucking the whole thing and not making any more Olympus cameras, which would be a very sad thing. I mean, of course, Olympus as we know it is not making this camera, but as long as somebody's carrying the name and making similar cameras, I guess we can get by on that. All right, so thank you guys so much for watching this video. I do appreciate you guys watching and sharing my videos. You know, we're all camera lovers here, and that's our bond, right? Fist bump. All right, so thank you guys so much, and thank you for watching the place where the cameras are the legends. And I will catch you guys next time on thecameralegend.com. And I do have a great camera for you guys today. Olympus M1 legend, come on back in here. Come on down. All right. Oh, and for you camera geeks, this lens right here is the Olympus 85mm f2 Zuiko portrait lens. So if you guys have seen my little shorts on my portrait recommendations, I do live by the sword, all right? And let's take a picture of you beautiful people to end off this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time on thecameralegend.com. YouTube. Ciao.
And I'm giving her some milk and some cookies, and I'm gonna give her anything I want. And y'all better not.
Cameralegend.com